I think I'm going to start kind of back at the beginning and do a kind of a little bit of an overview for some of you who have been with me before, and it may be new material for other people. So I'm Cindy Libman, and this is our course for the next 5 weeks I named it, What's God Got to Do with It? Because that's the title that came to me. But we're going to be learning about both spiritual walking and spiritual healing. Okay, so hopefully by the end of these 5 sessions, you should have some basic understanding of how to do a self-healing on yourself in regards to an issue, to a problem, a voice, a piece of resistance, anything that you're wanting to look at. So this is Sufi healing in particular, and the Sufi is the path of the heart, the path to God, the path of intimacy with God. And for the mystics, and I think this is true for many of the mystical traditions, we're not so much interested in the concept of God as we are in the direct experience of God. And so a lot of our work is going to be focused on helping you walk closer, become more intimate, feel like you can receive guidance directly from God or from the higher realms. So I wanted to start today with a quote from the guide of this Sufi path, Sidi, who has passed from the body. But I love this quote. And so he says, when you find the love, you find yourself. The secret is in the love. You are the love, not another. Everything is in the love, and everyone needs the love. If you find this, what more could you want? When you have the knowledge of the love, you feel peace in your heart. The jewels are inside you. This is the holy meaning. When you understand, then you are the meaning, the holy meaning. But look and reach so that you can find every meaning. And do not hesitate because inside every meaning is the quality of the love. If the Muslims, Jews, Christians, and the people of any other religion knew their religion well, there would be only one religion, the religion of love, peace, mercy. So that's a really beautiful quote that as you travel, you look for the love and you find the love and the mysteries are revealed. So we're going to talk a little bit about remembrance, and then we're going to do a remembrance practice. And remembrance is a very foundational practice on the Sufi path. So we're going to be going kind of back and forth between practices, spiritual walking, and the healing work, because there's really no way you can separate these things out. Because in order to really have the teachings of the healing revealed to you, you need to have a certain nearness, a certain closeness to God. And so we begin with the foundational practice of remembrance, and it's a sound vibrational practice, and we're going to be using the Aramaic name of God, which is Allah. And so when we go into the meditation, we'll be chanting Allah deep in the heart. So many meditation practices are really about going up and out to reach God. And this practice is really about coming down and in. And so we're going to be focusing more on the connection with God, with the divine, deep inside your spiritual heart. So this connection is always there. God is always beaming to you on all stations, only we're not present. We're not looking. We're not open. We're in some kind of resistance. We're busy with the world. And so we're not always receiving what's being sent to us in each and every moment. But this connection is never lost. It's always present. And during the remembrance, we hopefully return and taste a bit of the love and mercy and all the qualities of God. And we start to understand who we really are and the truth of our being. So during the remembrance, we're focusing on receiving, not on doing, not on creating anything or imagining anything, but just opening to receive the light, the love, the mercy, the peace. Everything is being sent to us, everything we need. So in starting with the remembrance, those of you who have been with me know the opening prayer, but I want to take a minute to just talk about this. So I will be doing prayers and practices in Arabic, and you can join me if you know. If you don't know, you can just receive the light of it, receive the sound, the vibration. So the opening prayer, which is something we always start with, because it opens us into the light of the One. And feel free to interchange words, God, Allah, the mystery, the universe, whatever you have come to know God as. So the opening prayer is called the Fatiha, and it means the opener, to open into God's direct light. So I'm going to read it to you in English before I read it in the Arabic. So it says, we begin in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Praise be to God, the sustainer of the worlds, most merciful, most gracious. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we ask for help. Guide us on the right path, not the path of those who have gone astray. So this is something you're going to be hearing over and over on the Sufi path about going the straight way, going the way of the light of God, of the truth, not getting caught in this world, not getting caught by things people have told you, not getting caught by pictures and images. And so that's the Fatiha, and we're going to begin with that before I'll guide you in the practice of remembrance. So you can just close your eyes and receive this. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillah rahman rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. So just opening to the light, and we close our eyes to the outer world, and we open our eyes to the inner world. placing most of our attention in your heart, in the center of your chest, the spiritual heart. And there are many layers in the heart. Everything that's ever happened to you is stored in the heart, and much more. And so we start in the outside of the heart, and we let the sound of the word Allah take us deeper and deeper and deeper into the heart, into your spiritual heart, the place that is just between you and the beloved, just between you and Allah. And this is your special prayer spot, the place to go to connect. And we're going to let Allah take you. So nothing to do, nothing to think, just opening to receive. And we'll begin the practice out loud because the vibration is very helpful. And it's a portal into the inner realms, into the inner worlds, into the closeness and intimacy with Allah. And then at some point we'll move into the silence and we'll stay there for a while. If you get lost or distracted, you can just think the name Allah on the breath, or you can return to saying it out loud. You're all muted, so we won't hear you, and you can just continue to deepen. Okay. Allah, 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 and just softening, opening, letting your heart just gently fall open like the petals of a rose. Allah, 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 And when you're ready, just gently coming back. I'm gonna unmute you because I'd like to hear a little bit about what people are experiencing during the remembrance. So you're all unmuted. Anybody who would like to share or would like to speak or have a question?
Can you hear me, Cindy? This is Deb.
Yep.
Hi, and I apologize. I got on the call late that some of the numbers didn't work, but I got in.
Okay.
I am working separately anyway with a few, I'll call them veils over my heart, some old belief systems, and I had a situation yesterday that came up, and I felt like I was going along pretty with my practice, and got a little thrown off and into the, into feeling some anxiety. So today I did ask during the meditation for some guidance or some clarification on that. And what I did get was a little bit of a pain in my heart area, not anything real uncomfortable, but and I asked that be clean.
No.
Pardon me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so that was a physical feeling that I hadn't quite had before, which
that's
working up
right.
Healing.
Yeah, so that's very common to be aware of some kind of pain or tension or tight spot, because once the light comes in, it brings something forward in you, something that needs to be cleaned, something to look at, something to be with. And so those of you who aren't familiar with the term veil, a veil is anything that gets in the way between you and Allah, between you and God, between you and the divine perfection, between you and the love, the safety, the trust. So anything that we're carrying, anything that we've taken on impressions from, experiences, our lineage, our families, those are all veils that are between us and the divine.
Oh, kitty.
And so it's not unusual for those to come up during the remembrance.
Let's go.
So we'll be talking a little bit more about how to be with that, how to work with that later today. Thanks. Anybody else with experiences, sharings, questions? Okay, well, I'm gonna mute you back up again, and we're gonna talk a little bit about veils. So again, a veil is something that gets between you and Allah, from between you experiencing the truth, the real, the love. It can be beliefs from your childhood, like I'm not lovable, or I'm unworthy, or not good enough. It can be habits that we have of like trying to control things, being in fear, being worried. It can be illusions and misconceptions. Sometimes there are things that are handed down to us through our families, through our experiences, through living life that are really not true. They're false. It can be resistance, and resistance to God, because many of us have been harmed from our childhood and from some of the beliefs about God and some of the notions that we've picked up. So any sign of anxiety, fear, anger, sadness is usually a veil on the truth, on the real. Because when the heart is witnessing the truth, it's at peace, it's tranquil. This is really your birthright, to be held in the love, in the peace, in the mercy, and to not be separate from it, to be fed by it, to be swimming in it, to be in the ocean of the love and the mercy and the peace. So anytime you're experiencing things that are not that, you're probably looking at a veil or a lens that you're looking through. In the physical world, in the world of the body and the heart and the emotions and the thoughts, we oftentimes will be calling these dark veils, because that's kind of how they appear. When we move up into the soul realms and the spirit realms, those are the luminous veils. So we can see through them, but there's still veils that we're looking through at God. So, and if you have any questions about this, feel free to raise your hand, or I'm going to unmute for just a minute to check in. Any questions about veils? They also can appear as physical illnesses or constrictions or tension or pain. And they can appear as an image, as a story, as an experience. So they can come in lots of different ways. Any questions so far?
When you encounter one of these veils, should you try to resist it, or just kind of notice that it's there?
Yeah, that's going to be the teaching, is really how to be when you notice something, and no, we're going to welcome it in, because it's really being shown to us that there's something there that's in the way, something that's blocking, something that's making a barrier between you and receiving God's light and love and wisdom. So those are really the things we're going to be focusing on in terms of the self-healing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, so then I'm going to talk about, so we have veils so far, and now we have voices, okay? So when you go inside, on the Sufi path, we say there are 3 types of voices you can listen to. So there's the voice of your ego, yourself, your parts of yourself, which we call the nafs, N-A-F-S. But basically that just means yourself, voices from yourself, okay? Then there's the darkness, which can be stronger voices of the darkness, voices from family, from lineage, from the world at large, voices that are imposter voices. They're not representing the truth. But we can listen to it, and we can especially listen to those kind of voices when we're in fear or anger or feeling vulnerable. We don't know where to go or what to listen to. We're very open to listening to things that aren't true. And then, of course, there's God's voice. And it isn't exactly God speaking, but the downloading of God's voice. And usually when you're in that voice, you know it because you feel uplifted and open and peaceful, and maybe there's something new there, some kind of a surprise. So when we listen to the voices of ourself, okay, so the naphs, when they come up, they can be hurt child parts from the past. They can be misunderstandings from the past. There can be lots of different versions of these voices. And what we want to do is we want to always approach with the love, the mercy, kind of like how you would hold a child, helping it to come into the love and the mercy so that it can receive what it's really needing, what it's really wanting. So we take care of these parts. However, when we hear voices of the darkness, we want to have a boundary. We want to turn away. We want to clean those. So it's a little different. And how you can tell the difference between it's a part of you or a voice from the naphs is when the darkness comes in, it usually ups the intensity. Like you might move from anger to rage very quickly, and you might hear voices in your head about hate or about, intense dislike. So do people feel like they have some sense of the three different voices?
Let's see. I got two: the naphs, the voices of darkness, and the voice of God. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the voice of God. Does that make sense? Do you feel like you kind of know a little bit inside the difference? Sometimes it can be a little tricky. Sometimes the voice of the darkness can be very seductive. It can tell you things that are not true, but they're very seductive. And oftentimes they answer or try to answer the parts that are in fear, worry, anger, depression. But sometimes, like let's say you're in a depression and you're feeling down, that can be just yourself. But if it goes really intense, then it can also be the darkness has come in.
But Cindy?
Yes?
Hear me, this is Deb. The thing too, I believe, is that when you are working with, I'm kind of finding this. I'm pretty new at all this, but I'm kind of finding that I do have a lot of negative stuff. A lot of stuff I didn't even know I had that's just kind of roaming around in there. So it's that I consider layers. So it's just as I work through that, I feel that with a lot, like there's more of a peace about it, even if it, feels negative.
Yes.
It's like when I address it or ask for help with it, I do have peace. I may not get rid of it totally, but
Yes.
like I get an understanding. Somehow I get an understanding, and I'm able to tap in a little bit to the love for myself, and that it's hard to describe, but that's what I'm feeling more and more when I do work on this stuff, and that feels like that, a law underneath it trying to help me work it through.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The light comes in. When we say the Fatiha, we say the opening prayer, okay? The light descends, the light comes down and starts to illuminate for us anything that's not able to really come up to the light, to open to the light. And so then that's why you feel sometimes tension or slight pain, or, sometimes you just open and receive. But if there's anything in the way, that's a good thing. It's a mercy, it's a gift, because Allah is bringing you into the veil, into the holding, into the resistance for the cleaning, the returning, and the healing. So this is not because you've done something wrong or bad or anything like that. It's a mercy. It's a gift. to be able to see, oh, look, this is holding me out of the light. This is separating me from the light. This is making it hard for me to really receive the guidance, receive the mercy, receive the love. And yes, I mean, you described it really perfectly, that the light is all around that belief or that holding or that issue. And it's holding it. And as it's holding it, it's really starting to efface it, starting to dissolve it, starting to break it up, layer by layer by layer. And behind that, when that opens, behind that is where the teaching is, where the good thing is that Allah is trying to help you walk towards on your journey of really understanding the real. And so that's what you described is what happens. And the more we work with these things, the easier it gets. And sometimes in our spiritual walking, we're going to be walking with ease or the beauty, and sometimes we're going to be walking with constriction or some kind of difficulty. And really, it doesn't matter. Okay, there's no good, bad, right, wrong. We have preferences about it. We prefer to walk with the beauty, with the ease, with the opening. But these constrictions are really growth. It's like you're moving into something that's ready to go, that's ready to open, that's ready to release. And as you move into it, there can be kind of like a birthing process, you know, where you're being squeezed through the birth canal. And so as we come into the constriction, and it may be a belief, like maybe you think God's not there for me. God, I might believe in God, I might not, but I might, but I don't think God's really there for me. So this belief is going to limit your ability to really experience. And as you start to move and experience God, then this constriction is going to come into view. And as we sit with it in the light of God, in the light of Allah, it'll start to open. And we may see things inside of it, like maybe things that were taught to you when you were young, maybe things you witnessed. There can be past traumas, there can be past fears, worries. You know, we're all a collection of things. Our genetics, our family lineage, all the things we've witnessed in life, all the impressions we've gathered, all the things we've heard from other people. And so it's a process of really learning how to only listen to the highest light, listening to God, listening to the divine perfected qualities. And we have many, many things that get in the way, but some of them can go very quickly. Some of them take time. It isn't really for us to decide, because we need to receive the teaching that's inside each of these places for us. Because otherwise we're just kind of pulling off the top of the dandelion every time. You know, we approach this issue of anger, let's say, or fear, and we pull off the top of it. And then we circle back again and we're approaching this, this fear, this worry. In order to really understand what it's there for, we have to let God guide us down into the root, down into the depth, down into the things that really need to be understood, healed, and returned back to God, back to the perfection, so that we can really receive the deep healing, the deep dissolving of that place, and the opening, which is behind it, into the qualities of God. And so this is really, you know, one of the ways that we really come to know God is through the divine qualities. because nobody can really comprehend, understand, conceive of what is God. You know, whether you've come to know it as essence, presence, reality, source, the mystery, the mind cannot really grasp it, because God is greater than anything we can imagine, any pictures, any images, anything we've been taught, and it's always unfolding because it's infinite. So no matter how far you come in your walking, there's always more. And so we come to know God in terms of these divine qualities. And what these qualities are, they're called the 99 names of the one, love of God. And they are the names of God in their perfection, like trust, truth, love, mercy, compassion, protection, you know, and each of these is an aspect of the one. And they're different than our human versions of these qualities. So on these qualities, we have our own impressions, and we're also cleaning those and opening so that we can really experience the divine quality as best as we possibly can. And some of you have been working with me and working with the qualities, and we're going to do some qualities today as well. So comments, questions so far? Okay. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about today, and I don't think I've talked about this in other classes yet, is the prayer that we make. So we have a few steps in the process of healing. The first one is the opening prayer, the Fatiha, to open into God's light, however you do that. And for those of you who are interested, there are recordings of the Fatiha that you can access on the Sufi website, Sufi Center, Minnesota. So the next part is that we make a prayer, we make an intention. On our path, we call this a dua, D-U-A, pronounced dua. And this is the sincere prayer of your deep heart. It's what your heart is really wanting. And sometimes we have to settle in a little bit before the deep prayer really rises up. So at any point during your self-healing or during remembrance, you can make a dua, you can make a deeper prayer. And so I'm going to read just a few little thoughts about that. So these are a few quotes. The deeper your prayers echo in your own consciousness, the more audible they are to God. Okay, so, you know, sometimes when we make prayer, we make a very light prayer, you know, and sometimes, I know for me, like if I'm ill or if I'm struggling or if I'm fearful, I'm really, you know, making a prayer, please help me, please show me the way through this, please send the love, the mercy, the compassion. So the deeper you make the prayer, the more of a response is coming. And so we're always in connection with God. You don't have to make it out loud. You just have to think it or be present with it. And the answer is already being sent. Because God is working with each of us in accordance with our own particulars, our own level of development, our own level of need, our own level of understanding. We're being sent. We're always linked with God. And we sometimes are not present with that, which is why the practice of the remembrance is such a key foundational practice, because it gives us that space and time to really connect with God, to really harmonize with the sound, the frequency, the being of God, and to know God, so that we can be, so we can have an easier way of seeing, hearing, thinking, knowing, in that way, in the light. So, and I noticed that, really part of the struggling and moving through constrictions it really brings you into a deeper need, a deeper longing for God to come in. And that really helps open the light. So, and in those moments, we're surrendering our personality, our ego, our false ideas, so that we can really open to the truth, to the beauty, to what lies behind what we've come to know, which is more of the real. So, and the Sufi path is really a path of polishing the heart. They say it's like, like there's rust on the heart, and we're taking our little cloth and polishing the heart each time we go in, and each time we look at something, and each time we return something back to God, until the time where our heart is reflecting the one being, the light of God. And the closer your walking is to God, the better the information is, the clearer, the more it makes sense, the more you're really part of the direct download that's coming to you. So, again, any comments, questions, thoughts, ideas?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
And that question is, how is it different when it's healed?
How do
you know it's healed?
How do you know it's healed?
When it's healed.
Okay,
yes.
That's a good question. So,
sorry, I didn't understand that. How is it different than what?
She's asking, how do you know it's healed? How do you know? What's the difference? What's the difference? So, there's many ways. Sometimes, so in healing, Ibrahim, my teacher, says there are petals and flowers and onions. There's like on a flower there are petals, and sometimes you're just working with one of the petals, and sometimes you're working with the whole core. Okay, so how do you know when the healing has happened? Is usually there will be peace and tranquility in the place where the dilemma was before. Okay, so that's part of the answer. Sometimes it depends on the depth of the healing, because healing can happen in stages. Healing can happen in one fell swoop. We're not in charge of the healing. We're not the healer. Allah is the healer. Allah sends the healing. And so how we know is usually there's a transmission that will open with either peace, a light, a teaching. Something might be revealed to you, an understanding. But basically what's happening is either the layer or layers or the whole issue is dissolving into the light of God. And if you're talking about like a physical healing, because people heal what they can heal in their heart, they can heal in their mind, they can heal in their physical bodies. We heal through the, mental, emotional, spiritual places. And so the healings are a little different in each of these ways. And sometimes when people heal the emotional issue that's carried inside a physical illness, the disease will start to reverse, or it will be moved or cured. And Ibrahim has worked with many people with cancer, with tumors, with thyroid issues, diabetes, all sorts of physical things that have changed significantly or been healed. But we don't know what the healing is, because sometimes the healing is you find peace with it, but whatever the illness is continues. You know, we don't know, because unless our perspective is very, very high, we don't know why this has been sent. Why this has been sent for your teaching, for your learning. Excuse me. CD, our guide, would say, what's for you is from you. And this is a very deep teaching, which means anything that shows up in front of you, any person you're irritated with, excuse me, any issue you're looking at, what's for you is from you, which means that somewhere in you, you have a similar resonance. You know, like sometimes you'll find like a person very annoying, and this person is in your face all the time, or you're working with this person, or you're coming in contact with this person. And again, what's for you is from you. This is the concept of the mirror, that we're being shown all the time in a whole variety of ways where our next piece of work is. Now, sometimes it's not that you carry that same thing inside you. It may be that Allah is trying to help you with patience, with kindness, with being in the mercy, giving the mercy, receiving the mercy. So we have to go in very deep to understand what is really being offered to us. Because on any one issue, there can be many, many possible understandings. And we don't want to figure this out with our mind. We want to really wait till it's revealed to us in the inner. And when it's revealed, it opens up in such a way that you know it's real. You know, whether you're raised up or you're expanded or there's light, usually people have a knowing or a sensing that they've moved into a higher understanding, a broader understanding. Did that answer your question, Ruth?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll have some of these experiences while we're in this course, and then you'll start to, you know, enlarge your understanding of what it means to move through a healing. Yeah, and again, you know, sometimes we have, like we're healing aspects of it, you know, layers of it, pieces of it. And that we're not quite ready yet for the real teaching or the real understanding, but we're moving in that direction. And sometimes in one false swoop, the whole thing goes, you know? And so it's a very organic, interesting process in traveling with God and really knowing that God is the healer. And that's where the healing comes from. Okay. Does anybody want to work with something today? Last time we did the free class, Deb worked. Anybody have something they want to look at or they want to work with today? Be brave, take your chance. Well, maybe I'll lead us all together as a group, and you can do your own kind of beginning healing. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to leave you all unmuted because there's not that many of us on. And so if you need help or want to talk to me, feel free to. Okay. So when we begin the healing, we do our process of, we've already done the Fatiha, and we open to the light descending. And today what we're going to do is we're going to just use Allah. We're going to use the remembrance to bring the light down. So you may want to think for a minute of something you'd like to work with. Just pick something. It might be a belief, a thought, an irritation. It might be something in your body that's needing healing. Anything you want to start with. You can just lightly think of that. But we're going to ask when we go in for Allah to show you where to begin. So just for you to know, we're starting with your idea of what needs healing. But we're always going to give way to what we're shown, because sometimes what you think is in need of the healing, it's not its time yet. And Allah's going to show you something else or bring you somewhere else. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the remembrance with the Allah, and we're just going to sit and open. And I think our dua, our prayer will be, please show me the next thing on my path that needs to open, to heal, to clean, to return. We're just going to ask for the next step on your path. Okay, whatever's blocking the next step. And so we're going to descend the light. Then we're going to see where the light takes you. Now, for some of you, you will see. For some of you, you will hear. Some of you will feel. And some of you will know. You'll just know. And some of you have very unique combinations of all those things. And they're all good. They're all right. And so however it comes to you is your way. And we just want you to develop your own way with Allah of knowing how to be with things as they come up, and be with it not from your personality, not from your mind, but really opening to letting God show you, help you, hold you in these places. It's much easier this way, and it's much truer and more real than whatever we'd come up with, because usually we've already tried all the things we know, and the issue is still there because we've missed whatever the teaching is that we're supposed to gain. Okay, so we're going to let the light descend. We're going to see where it takes us. Usually the light will first come into your heart and expand your heart, but it may then settle somewhere in your body. So wherever, however, something moves to the front, something gets your attention, something gets your awareness. Then we're going to just be with it. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to notice. Okay? And as we're with it, then we're going to again just chant Allah, 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 deepening, letting the light of Allah open the space that we're looking at. And as we do that, we're just going to be kind of lightly, I'm going to be guiding you so you don't have to remember any of this. I just want to give you a preview first. So we're going to then be lightly interested in what is stored inside this place, or this feeling, or this sensation, or this picture, or image. You might see people. oftentimes as we go inside, we need to begin a cleaning practice, which we're not going to do today, but we will do next week. And then we're going to be looking at whatever's revealed to us. And for today, we're just going to use Allah the whole time, because everything is contained in there. And the idea would be to purify the images, the feelings, the ideas, the impressions, and let them return, let them open, let them dissolve. And that's probably as far as we'll go with it today. We may go a little farther, but we'll see. We might end up with asking the question to Allah of, what are you trying to show me? What are you wanting me to be with? Okay? So for today, you might work with a question. Sometimes we kind of start with certain questions, but let's see. Something like, what's in the way of you hearing God? Okay? I think we'll start with that. What's in the way of you hearing God, knowing God, looking at God, listening to God? What's in the way? That's going to be the healing today. Okay? All right. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Okay, so we'll ask our question. You can close your eyes. And we're asking of Allah, what is in the way, my beloved, of really knowing you, really hearing you, really being with you? Please show me whatever it is that's in resistance, that's blocking, that's veiling my connection with you. So now we're going to use just the word Allah, letting the light take you into whatever Allah's showing you about this. Allah, 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 Allah. And just very gently noticing where you're being taken, what's coming up in front. Allah, 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 and just settling into wherever you're being taken. And then we're going to allow ourselves to deepen, to enter, to go inside wherever you've been taken. So we'll spend a few minutes just being here. And you can continue to use Allah to open it up, to show you, to help you. Allah, 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 And if you want, you can ask in here, what is it you're trying to show me? What is it you're trying to help me with? What is the truth here? Allah. 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 And just continuing to let God show you, take you. Feel free to be in dialogue inside. If there's something you don't understand or it's not clear, you can say, please make it more clear for me. Please help me open it. Please show me the way through. Show me the truth. Allah. Show me how you want me to be with this. Show me your way. Show me the holy way. Allah. Allah. So how are people doing? Anybody willing to share what's happening? Or if you need some more time, let me know.
This is Deb.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first went into meditation, or you had said if there's an issue or something that you want to work with,
Mm-hmm.
and then I immediately kind of centered on the issue of food and overeating. And what I almost immediately felt was this actual, I don't know if it's heartburn or what, but it was actually in the pancreas area, because I know where that's located, and I have type 2 diabetes. And
Yeah.
I believe there was some light sent to that area. And then as we went along and talking, asking for guidance and what do I need and that kind of stuff. For me, it's been about trust and surrender. And what I got was surrender, trust, joy, kind of in that order.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel that I got.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. And as you work with that, there are probably deeper and deeper layers in there of things stored in your pancreas, things blocking the light and the love and the sweetness of life coming in.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a good start. That's
part of it too, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this too, as you and I have talked about, one of my, and I don't mean to sound so negative stuff, but one of the areas is the self-doubt. I question myself, and I question whether it's really happening. And maybe you can say something about that too, Cindy.
Yeah, that's a whole area of cleaning, which we're going to do next week. But bring that up again next week, because that'll be a really good one. And many people have that doubt in different ways, whether you doubt what you receive, you doubt that God's going to be there for you, you doubt that, doubt is a big one. And so we're going to work with some of the cleaning of that next time.
And does that, I just have a quick question, does that, even though you doubt, does that affect the healing? I mean, if that's what you're asking for and assistance with that, you'll still get that healing, correct?
Yes, but you also still need to get the teaching that comes out of the doubt, because the doubt will be a veil. Right. It'll be a veil for you. Yeah. And the idea is really the freedom, freedom from the doubt, Yeah. Okay, good. What about others?
Well, I experienced that shift to a whole different planet. One of the things I've been struggling with is kind of noticing that my career has eclipsed. I'm not at the top of my game, and it's in little ways I'm noticing these kinds of things, and I've started to resent a little bit some of the younger, smarter, more with it people that are starting to point out errors or where things need to be improved, and I've really been struggling with this because on the one hand, I'm glad that, you know, that people are learning more and doing more and helping more. And I'm also annoyed that it's not me at the front of the parade. Anyway, and I sailed right to an incident at age 5, and that I had almost all completely forgotten about. And I thought, my gosh, I think this is where this whole problem starts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a trip, Cindy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's how you know you're really letting Allah lead you, because you end up somewhere that you wouldn't have thought about or you wouldn't have planned or whatever. And so you're being shown maybe in the deep where some of the holdings are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens a lot because, you know, when we're younger, we don't store things so much in our mind, in our brain, in our places where we, you know, how we think about things as an adult. We store them directly in the cells and the tissue in the body. And they can get tripped and triggered by all sorts of things in the present. But what's happening is the depth of it is where the emotional charge is, you know.
Uh-huh.
So when we do the healing, we want to go back to the source. We want to go back to where this started as best as we can. And we need a lot to do that. And then we want to wash and clean and open and return those places back to the truth, back to the highest light, back to your original nature before the things happened that took us off or helped, you know, made us constrict or close down or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so good start. Okay.
And my experience, this is Ruth, is
Okay.
where I just slipped into this dark, intimate, centered place and just experienced myself breathing there. There was no words, there's no feelings associated with it. It's just being in this place of the experiences of peace and just kind of breathing in and out. And I don't know, it didn't lead me to anything in terms of images or thoughts or anything like that. Just, I guess, being in that place of deep peace.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and every time it's different, you know. Sometimes we enter where I think you might have entered is like a healing space, I want to say, you know, like you're just communing. And sometimes, you know, sometimes we need to know, sometimes we don't need to know. Sometimes we need to just be with what's happening. You know, if you need to know, it'll find you. If not, then you just go where you're taken. And a lot of healing happens. You know, our bodies are trying to move towards wellness, wholeness all the time, you know. And when we're in our most relaxed, open place, the healing can happen kind of organically. Because we're not stopping it. We're not in the way. We're not trying to fix it or control it or do anything. And that's a time where, you know, we can really breathe in, take in, absorb, swim in light, and merge with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can see from the, you know, 3 of your experiences, you know, just each time very different. Different things come up. You're taken in different ways. So you just want to get good at following your own guidance, your own ways. Good. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. I think what we'll do just in the last few minutes is we'll work with one of the qualities. And since we're, moving into the healing and the self-healing, the quality we're going to just be with today is fatah. And so fatah means to open, to reveal. So, so it says this quality has three meanings: opening, beginning, and success. So Allah opens the doors that we may open all the problems and obstacles. So fatah is a quality that comes in really handy in healing when you maybe sometimes enter something and you're not sure what's there. And so we ask, Ya Allah, Ya Fatah, please open this for me. Please allow me to see, feel, hear, know whatever is stored inside this place. So we're just going to work with Fatah for a little bit. And just as a reminder, when we chant the qualities, we're going to be chanting 11 times. The first 3, we say, Ya Allah, Ya Fatah. And then we'll just say, Ya Fatah, Ya Fatah. So we're using your imagination that you're going up to the place where the qualities originate from in their perfection, and waiting for them to be sent down. As they come down, we open, absorb, merge, let the quality do whatever it's going to do, and then we complete. So we'll work with, I'm going to mute you all up again, and we're going to work with Ya Fatah. Okay. Ya Allah, Ya Fatah. Ya Allah, Ya Fatah. Ya Allah, Ya Fatah. Ya Fatah, 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 Ya Fatah. So just absorbing, merging, swimming in the quality. Great. Okay, well, thank you all for joining me. And for those of you who are viewing it later, any comments or questions, feel free to email me or call me. My email is cindylib2, CINDYLIB as in boy, the number 2, at AOL.com. And if there's ever any questions, comments, things you want to learn about in the class, feel free to just send it on to me, because we're kind of creating this as we go along. All right.
See?
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll see some of you on Saturday.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.